And welcome back to Hardball Sports Talk, brought to you by Hardball Sports Media. My name is Brandon, and like always, I'm joined by my good friend Alex. Alex, how are you today?
Ahoy, Brandon. I am doing much better.
Well, that is good. Uh, Before we get started on today's episode, I just want to warn you guys, I am having issues with my internet at my house today, so I may be cutting in and out. I apologize if that happens.
It's a lot of pressure on me.
Yeah,
Keep the ball rolling.
so we'll see what happens. The last 10 minutes it's been working, so hopefully we're clear, but we'll find out, I guess. So couple things for you guys to know. We're gonna switch up how we do the show a little bit. So what we've been doing is if something happens in any sport that we follow closely, so that'd be not basketball, baseball, football, and hockey. We've basically been reporting it, and it's made for, in my opinion, some not great content. Now, granted, we pride ourselves in doing research on our stuff, so the content's not been bad, I guess, but it's been kind of choppy. So in some episodes, for example, we started with baseball, then we've gone to hockey, then we've gone to football, and it's just kind of there's no flow to the episodes. So what we're gonna do for the time being is we're just gonna stick to one sport at a time. So right now we'll basically go into football mode and just cover the NFL and a little bit of college. And then after the Super Bowl, we'll switch over to baseball uh, mode. And at some point between the Super Bowl and baseball, we'll do a series on our favorite sports movies. And I think that's going to be a multi-episode thing, to be completely honest with you guys. I was trying to make my top 10 movies, and I wrote down 20 baseball movies. And I go, there's no way I can make a top 10 list. So we're going to do that. I don't have a number for you guys, but we'll work on that. And then, like we said last night, we're working with Rounders on our podcast about sport and our baseball history. So we'll get that going for you guys. I haven't talked to him in a couple days. I told him I'd reach out after the New Year's so we could have time with our friends and family during Christmas and New Year's. So hopefully we'll get that up for you guys, though. Something worked out with him. And when I get details figured out, I will sure to let you guys know so we know what we're up for. But today we're going to focus mainly on the NFL and a little bit of college football. There are two big stories going on in the NFL that just happened today. The first one of note is Russell Wilson has been benched by the Denver Broncos, and all reports are saying that he'll probably get cut too, which is not shocking considering the timing of the benching. This has been a disaster, to say the least, for the Broncos. Not Peyton. Russell Wilson was supposed to be the next Peyton Manning for the team, coming in and winning, and it just hasn't gone well. Now, the Nathaniel Hackett experiment was a complete failure, and Sean Payton has done a better job. There was early on in the season, obviously they struggled, especially with that Miami game that we all like making fun of. But I did not see this coming. I thought Russell Wilson has been playing better as of late. Now, granted, he's still not playing up to his level of what you expect for especially what they're paying him. But they are deciding to bench him with all plans leaning towards getting cut. So this weekend, the Broncos will be starting Jarrett Stidham at quarterback, who spent time with Oakland and New England. So we'll see how that works out. So by the looks of it, Denver will probably be in the quarterback market this offseason. Quarterbacks really don't become free agents that often, or quarterbacks that are worth signing, I should say. Like, you'll always get backups going all over the place, but very rarely does a starting quarterback go on the market. The last Jimmy Garoppolo, I think he signed as a free agent with Las Vegas. And then the last big one would have been Kirk Cousins signing with the Vikings. But so it does happen. I don't have any of the contracts up in front of me right now, so I have no idea who's going to be even in consideration for a free agent. But again, quarterbacks don't go on the market very often. So more than likely they'll have to do the bridge quarterback thing and then hopefully find a diamond in the rough in the draft because they've won too many games to have a top draft pick. They're actually technically still in the playoff race, and there is a chance, I believe, that they can win the division.
Mm.
It's between the Chiefs, who are in the driver's seat, the Raiders, and the Broncos. The Broncos need the most help out of the three teams. The Raiders do have the second best chance, though. But this is just a shock to me, just because there's a lot of guaranteed money on the contract. So we'll see what the long-term plan here is for the Broncos. Jarrett Stidham, I don't think is long-term answer. They traded a lot too to get Russell Wilson. Lots of draft picks, young players. So this is a complete shock to me. But what are your reactions?
Yeah, I'm actually surprised at how bad Russell Wilson. I don't know. You could say bad, not how the season was going to go, as many Bronco fans wanted. Bringing in a guy like Russell Wilson, who's took Seattle to the playoffs many times, took him to the Super Bowl a couple times. You thought it was going to carry over to the Broncos, and obviously that just for whatever reason did not work out between him and the coaching staff or players, whatever you want to call it.
So the big winner in all of this has to be Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
Because everyone was like, why on earth are you trading away Russell Wilson? Like, he is your offense. But if you look at how Pete Carroll won with Russell Wilson, it was always through the running game and an elite defense.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how he's won last year with Geno. And this year, when they had success, that was their recipe too. And now, obviously, Seattle needs a little bit of help to make the playoffs. But last year, I mean, we all figured they'd be playing for the top draft pick last year. And then all of a sudden, Geno Smith leads them to the playoffs. So Pete Carroll obviously is the big winner here. And no question about it, the Denver Broncos and Russell Wilson are the big losers in that trade. It could go down as one of the worst trades in history, if you ask me, just because of how much they gave up and basically releasing. No, they haven't officially released him yet, but all signs are pointing that that's what's going to happen here.
Mm-hmm.
So this is probably going to go down as one of the worst trades in NFL, if not sports history. And this might be instant or recency bias, but with how much expectations were for Denver, because I mean, everyone before last season started, man, all they need is a quarterback, and this is a Super Bowl team.
Right.
That was the talk. And then they bring in Russell Wilson, who's a Super Bowl winning quarterback, and he literally played himself out of the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
That does not happen every day. So big news out of Denver. Another storyline going on in the NFL right now is one of the weirder stories I've ever heard in the world of sports, and I have been following sports since I was born. And this one is up there with one of the weirder stories I've ever heard. Jair Alexander, cornerback for the Green Bay Packers, is being suspended for one game by the Packers for, as the Packers called it, conduct detrimental to the team. So allegedly, there's got to be more to the story, but here's what's been reported. Jair Alexander, went out for the coin toss against the Panthers on Sunday, even though he was told he was not one of the captains for the game. But he goes, I'm from Charlotte. Coach won't mind. He even said that in the locker room after the game. He's like, yeah, they just forgot us from Charlotte, so I just figured it was okay to go out there.
Right.
So he went out there, and the Packers won the toss, and the ref goes, what would you like? And he goes, we want to play defense first. And so theoretically, if the ref wanted to be a complete jerk, he could have said, so you want to kick? And Alexander said, yeah. The issue with that is at the beginning of the second half, the captains go back out there, and whoever lost the coin toss gets to pick first in the second half. Now, that's why a lot of the teams say we'll defer to the second half. and then so they'll meet back out at halftime. I don't know why that's how they do it, but that's just how they do it.
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. This is one of the few times that Madden got it right, but that's a completely different story there. But anyways, so the ref said, "You mean you want to defer?" And he goes, "Yeah, whatever. I don't care." And then goes back to the sideline, and yeah, Packers didn't find that as funny as the rest of us do, and they suspended him for one game. I'm telling you, there's got to be more to the story than this. Like,
Yeah.
there has to be,
Yeah.
because the Packers are still in the playoff race. They are playing the Minnesota Vikings this week. Nick Mullins or Josh Dobbs or whoever else the Vikings could be starting at quarterback. I understand it's not Kirk Cousins, but they have this receiver in Minnesota. His name is Justin Jefferson, and he is a top 5 receiver in the NFL. No
Mhm.
question about it. And the Packers' best corner is Jair Alexander. So you're going to go into a game with Minnesota with the top 5 receiver without your best corner because of a coin toss.
Right. You think that they could if they could at least find him. I agree with you. I feel like there's something else going on.
There has to be.
Because normally you would just, undisclosed amount, fine him, whatever. Yeah, let's focus on the next game. But the fact that they ended up suspending him, I feel like there's something else going on. And we could be wrong, but I don't know why
There's a
you.
good chance we're wrong. We're a couple of idiots, but
Well,
it
yeah,
just
yeah, it's weird how it's one game suspended for not being a captain or acting captain, whatever you want to call it, losing it, not really knowing what to do, don't really care. Um, yeah, I feel like I agree with you. There's something else going on, but really, if it wasn't such a big deal, he probably would have got fined. Probably would have maybe set out the first couple of years or whatever. So the coaches, hey man, don't do that again. All right, get out there and go play.
yeah. And especially considering the Packers are mathematically still alive in the playoffs race. Now
Yeah,
they'll have to
yeah,
win
you're
out,
gonna
I
sit
think,
your
and
best guy out.
they'll have to win out, and I'm pretty sure they'll need help to make
Yeah.
the playoffs. But still, like, it's a must-win game for the Packers.
Hmm.
If you want, and this isn't high school where you sit the kid down to teach a lesson, a life lesson, or anything like that, or even college. If it was high school and college, whatever.
Right.
But this is professional football, and there's just got to be something else.
Hmm.
There's got to be, and I haven't seen anything else. Everyone is saying the same exact story with the coin toss, but everyone is also saying the same thing. There's just something missing.
Yeah.
So what that is, we may never know, and this might be the 100% true story.
Yeah, that's true. It's the NFL. Anything can happen.
Yeah. So there's really no way to transition from that, but we're going to move on now to our game picks for this week. I don't have our numbers with each other in front of us, but on the season, I've been using ESPN. On the season, I am 155 and 85, the 98.7 percentile in the country. So I'm having a good season with my picks. Next year, hopefully, obviously, we'll have a lot more listeners by this time next year. We're going to have a pool that you guys can join so you can make your picks with us. Should be a good time. And depending on even how many people we have following us, there might be a prize. I'm not going to promise that, but that's our motivation is I want to do prizes for you guys for when we grow. And so that's my motivation for you guys to share this is, hey, you might get a free hoodie or a hat or something like that. Nothing too fancy,
Brandon
but
will buy you pizza because he's not cheap.
hey, so,
Oh
okay,
wait, he is cheap.
I am cheap, but this is one of our rabbit trails because you brought it up.
Yep, that's fair.
Yep. So, backstory here. If you guys are just tuning in for the first time, first off, thank you so much for checking us out.
Yes, thank you.
Second off, about a month or so ago, maybe a little bit longer, we were talking about my wedding, and how the store we stopped at to get lunch stuff for me and the groomsmen and the bridesmaids and whatnot. They asked if I wanted to round up for charity, and I said no, I'm good. And then one of my groomsmen bought a couple things that he would not let me pay for, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm not a cheapskate like Brandon. I'm gonna round up." And then shortly, that was a locally owned store. Shortly after that, I was at Walmart, and I bought something. My total was like $5.99 or whatever. And the question was, "Hey, do you want to round up to the nearest dollar?" And I hit no. I'm pretty sure I was laughing and I texted you while I hit no on that
I
one.
think I probably could look it up. I'm pretty sure you did and said, "Look what I really am a cheapskate."
Uh, so, anyways, I was at my local Dollar General the other day, and they were doing one of their promotions for, or one of their charity things. And they go, "Do you want to round up for charity?" And I go, "No, I'm a cheapskate. I ain't doing that." And the cashier goes, "You know that they already paid the charity." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Yeah. So what they do," and this is what this employee says Dollar General does. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say every box store does this. I'm not saying the independent store that we went to during the wedding is like this. I really don't know, but I'm
Right.
gonna say that the box stores are all like this. That the company will pay $100,000 or whatever it is for charity and give it to the charity, and then what they'll do, they want their money back. So they'll
Obviously.
put on their computer, "Hey, do you want to round up to the nearest dollar?" And so basically, what they're doing is they're getting their money back from the money they already donated. So your money that you're given is not going to no charity. So I am not the cheapskate anymore.
Whatever you need to tell yourself, Brandon.
The Walmart people are the cheapskates in this situation, not
Okay.
me.
Okay, Brandon.
If you want to give to charity, give to charity. You know, I'm all for that, but do it through yourselves and don't go to Walmart to do it. Is basically what I'm getting at here.
Whatever you say, cheapskate.
Whatever I say, cheapskate. So, anyways, back to the originally scheduled programming. We're gonna do our 17 game picks here. Thursday night football this week. We got the New York Jets versus the Cleveland Browns. The Jets, they won last week against the Commanders.
Hmm.
They should have won that game by a lot more, but they basically punted, no pun intended there, and needed a last second field goal from Greg the Leg Zerloin to win that game. The Browns are at 10-5, which is the first time in probably modern NFL history where both the Browns and the Lions are 10-win teams.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Probably in the near future, next week. I haven't told you this yet, but I was going to actually talk to you about this. I want to do an episode where we give our votes or predictions, or maybe both, for league awards. If you ask me right now, Kevin Stefanski is the coach of the year. And that's coming from a diehard Lions fan who loves Dan Campbell. But what Stefanski's done with the Browns this year is just incredible with how many quarterbacks they've gone through
Yeah.
and having a team that's probably going to make the playoffs and starting 4 or 5 different quarterbacks. That's insane.
Right.
So, anyways, with all that being said, though, I'm going to take the Browns to win this game.
Yeah. I agree with you, especially because the Jets have just kind of collapsed, having the rotational quarterbacks and everything. I got the Browns at home with my MVP of the year so far in Joe Flacco, who's an elite quarterback.
I mean, with after the game that Brock Purdy had the other day, you might not be wrong on the Joe Flacco thing. The next game we got here is our Detroit Lions, NFC North champion Detroit Lions.
That's right.
That's right. We didn't. You guys can say we picked against them a couple times, but we're here to get these games right. We're homers to an extent, yes, but we're also going to give you our honest opinion on games. So this one, Lions are traveling to Dallas. Dallas losing a game to Miami, like I told you they would. And the Lions, like we just said, clinched the NFC North against the Vikings last week. This one's a tough game for me. The Cowboys, they play better at home. So naturally, that means I'm probably going to pick the Cowboys. But there's just a couple things that give me hope as a Lions fan. The first one is, like I said last week with the Cowboys, their biggest weakness is run defense.
Mm-hmm.
And the Lions offense starts and ends with the running game.
Yes.
They're if they don't run the ball, their offense doesn't move. Jared Goff off the play action that's where he lives. Is play action passes, shallow crossing routes to tight ends and Amon-Ra St. Brown, with the occasional deep bomb to J-Mo or Khalif Raymond. That's
Mm-hmm.
the Lions offense. So this is a good matchup, I think, for the Lions. And then the other thing is this will be the fourth or fifth primetime game for the Lions. They have not lost a primetime game yet this year, and not all of them have been at home either. They had the opening night at Kansas City, and then they had week 3 at Lambeau. So it's not that they're only doing it at Ford Field, but they're doing it in very rough environments. Now, I understand the Packers were down when they played them, like the Packers were struggling. But historically, Lambeau Field has been a tough place for the Lions to play.
Mm-hmm.
And then going to Arrowhead and defeating the Super Bowl champions week 1. Now, granted, again, we know the Chiefs are not the same old Chiefs this year, but those are impressive wins for the Lions. With all that being said, I'm picking the Cowboys to win this game.
I like it. Yeah, this one would have been different if it was an actual Monday night game and not a Saturday night game. I believe the last 6 or 7 Monday night games, the underdog has won when they were the home team. I believe. If I saw that stat right, I could be making that stat up. Anyways, the underdog has won the last 6 or 7 on Monday nights. Unfortunately, this game is on a Saturday night. The Cowboys are undefeated. They're two different teams. Unfortunately, when the Cowboys are at home, they're the better team than when they're on the road. As much as I want to pick the Lions, I'm going to take the Cowboys in this game.
So there's one more thing I want to say about this game before we move on. I've seen a lot of comments online on different Lions pages I'm on that we should rest the starters. I don't know who's commenting that, but you need to stop.
No,
There is no
you,
reason to rest the starters right now.
they're
This Lions team has not a legitimate shot, but they have the same record as San Francisco and Philadelphia right now. If you went out and let's say the Rams beat the 49ers next week, which is not out of the realm of possibility, you're the 1 seed.
yes, the Lions are still technically playing for the 1 seed, and I
Yes.
think people are forgetting that.
So, yeah, we got the division locked up. Cool. Let's go get the 1 seed.
Yeah, let's make people come to Ford Field where it's been rocking every home game for the most part.
And what another nice thing about where the Lions are at right now things will change with seating and stuff like that probably. But as of right now, the Lions in the playoffs will not play a game outside of California or outside of a dome. And that would be huge for Jared Goff because
Yes.
when it's colder weather, he seems to struggle a bit more. But those are scenarios that we don't have to worry about right now. Moving on, we got the Patriots and the Bills. The Patriots, I think Bill Belichick has basically given up on this team. Did you see his comments he made the other day?
I did not.
So he made a comment about deflated footballs and how there was deflated footballs at his game last week, and he wanted to know why the NFL had deflated footballs on the field. And if you don't know why we find that ironic, the Patriots, oh man,
Allegedly.
allegedly, yes, we don't want to get in trouble here.
Yes.
I don't remember what year it was, but I mean, it was during their Super Bowl runs with Tom Brady and company. They allegedly used underinflated footballs. It was called Deflategate. Tom Brady actually got suspended, I think, 4 games for that.
Stupidest thing ever.
Yeah, it really was. But it was hilarious at the same time, too. And then there was all these like scientists doing experiments on, well, actually it was cold. And they're like, yeah, but it wasn't that cold. And it was just the stupidest thing ever. So I just found that funny that Bill Belichick would go out and say that. Anyways, going back to the game here, I got the Bills winning. They're still playing for their playoff life. And like I said, I guess Bill Belichick, I think he knows it's probably his last year in New
Mhm.
England.
Mhm.
Uh, he might coach somewhere else next year. We'll talk about that in a different time. But if he really wants to go on bad terms with New England, he should win out just so they can't have the high draft pick. That would
Right.
really be hilarious. But
Yes.
I'm going to take the Bills here. The Bills are playing for their playoff life, and
Yeah.
I think they'll be hungry.
I think one of us said it last week that the Bills are in their playoff mode right now. And I
Yeah.
think they're gonna continue that mode, focus on every game for the playoffs. So I'm gonna take the Bills as well.
Next, we have an interesting matchup here. We got the Atlanta Falcons versus the Chicago Bears. The Falcons are probably theoretically still alive in the NFC South, even though Tampa Bay has been winning a lot more as of late. And then Chicago, who is technically still alive in the NFC playoff race. Now they have to win out and they need a lot of help themselves. It's one of those things where, so you're saying there's a chance type things with the Bears. The Bears, as of late, have been playing a lot better football. I believe they lost last week, though. The Falcons, I just don't trust them at all, and I really don't trust the Bears that much either. But this game's at Soldier Field, and I don't know why, but I'm just taking the Bears. I just feel like they're the better team of the two.
This is one of my cues to go to my coin flip game,
Yep.
as I like to say with some of these picks. And this one ended up on the Bears only because they're at home.
Yep.
So
That's
give me the
basically
Bears.
why I'm going with the Bears there.
Yep.
Next, we have another really good game here.
Yeah.
We got the Las Vegas Raiders against the Indianapolis Colts. The Raiders won an exciting game at Arrowhead last week against the Chiefs on Christmas Day. I watched about 5 minutes of that game, to be completely honest with you. I was at my in-laws' house for Christmas lunch, and I had the phone out at the table on my lap, so nobody saw it. I think my wife caught me, though.
Eh.
Um, but anyways, I was watching a little bit of the game, and then the 5-10 minutes I watched is when Mahomes did that running play where he was the running back, and
They got too cute and
yeah.
turned the ball over.
And
Yeah.
then the very next play was the interception. Actually, there
Yeah.
was a blocked kick in between the interception too.
Yeah.
It was the craziest 5 minutes of football I've ever seen in my life,
Mhm.
and I'm watching on a phone on a dinner table being sneaky.
I like it.
So I couldn't do any noise or any reactions because then I was gonna get caught. But like that was absolutely insane.
Yes.
And then the Colts, they've quietly, quietly put together a nice season this year. Um, I like the momentum of the Raiders, though. I think what they're buying into Anthony Pierce. I think he is in consideration for the long term position of this job. I don't think you can just hand it to him after the season, though. I really think you should interview different candidates like Ben Johnson. If Harbaugh is available, we'll see how that works out with Michigan. But I think he should be a serious candidate for the job. So I'm going to take the Raiders to win this game.
Yeah. I like what their defense has been showing lately too. They got a lot of momentum going into against the Colts. One thing I will say about that is they need to do their due diligence and, you know, talk about hiring other coaches, but they don't need to make the same mistake they did 2-3 years ago when everyone loved, what was it, Rich Pisaccia.
Yeah,
All the players loved him. He didn't get the job, and they hired McDaniels, and look what happened. I
yeah.
think the team rallies more around Pierce than they did Bisaccia, but I agree they need to do their due diligence. But I think you still gotta. He's your leading candidate right now.
Oh yeah. I'm not saying hire him on the spot. Like I said, do your due
No, yeah,
diligence, make sure there's nobody else. But as of right now, he deserves to be a serious candidate for the job.
yeah,
One crazy stat about the game with the Chiefs and the Raiders last week. Aiden O'Connell, the rookie quarterback for the Raiders, did not complete a pass in the second quarter, did not complete a pass in the third quarter, and did not complete a pass in the fourth quarter, and they still won. That is
hey,
not necessarily the recipe to win in the NFL today, but it worked.
hey,
So kudos to the Raiders there. And like I said, I'm picking them to win.
Mhm.
Are you picking them too?
Yeah, yeah, sorry. I know
Okay.
it got off topic there a little bit, but yeah, I'm taking the Raiders.
Next, we got the Rams and the Giants. The Ben, oh, what's his? Oh my goodness, it's Italian. Tommy DeVito. Wow, where did I get Ben from?
Ben McAdoo, who used to be the coach? I
Yeah,
don't know.
probably Ben McAdoo. Tommy DeVito. He got benched on Christmas Day. That game was close, or closer than a lot of people thought it was going to be. Um, I I thought it'd be a close game. That I even said that I'm like, part of me wants to take the Giants. I just can't do it, and I actually talked him to do it. So thank you for fighting that one for
Yeah,
me.
you're welcome. I should have won because there should have been. Never mind. We don't even talk about that game.
But anyways, the Rams, they are hitting their stride at the right time. They are playing really good football right now. Uh, they're going to be that one team in the NFC that I could see making a deep run for it. That
Hmm.
makes it a wild card team.
Yep.
And it starts here at their. I see them traveling across the country here and winning in New York.
Yeah. Like you said, I think they're going to be the wild card team that goes in on the road and upsets someone. Hopefully, it's not the Lions because as of right now, that's who they would play.
Yeah,
Um,
and
but
that'd be
yeah, there
full
goes that
circle, wouldn't
one
it?
wild card team that will make that run.
And that
But
would
yeah,
be
I'm taking the Rams over the Giants.
and that would be full circle. Matthew Stafford coming into Ford Field and winning a playoff game.
Right? I hope that doesn't happen.
Oh, I hope that does not happen too. Moving on because I don't want to get too sad here.
Yep.
We got the Cardinals and the Eagles. Uh, the Eagles had a rebound game against the Giants, but they still didn't look completely dominant. The Cardinals are
The
they're not
Cardinals.
a they're not a great football team this year. I think this might be a fix it game for the Eagles. I think they'll win this one with no problem.
Yeah, there's not too much to say other than Eagles have the better talent.
Next, we have what I would call probably the division championship game for the NFC South. We got the Saints and the Buccaneers. This one's in Tampa. The Saints have been one of the more weird teams. One week they look really good. The next week they look like absolute crap. I guess that whole division you could say that about, but the Saints are the extreme to that one. Tampa Bay has been playing really well as of the last few weeks, and I think they continue to play a really good football, and I'll pick them to win this game.
Yeah. Originally I wrote down the Saints, and I don't know why I did. But then I'm like, I'm gonna take the Bucks. They've been playing great the last couple games, so I'm gonna go with the Bucks on this game.
Next, we got the 49ers traveling across the country to face the Washington Commanders. Washington's defense can't tackle anybody, can't stop the run, and that's what San Francisco does. After a 4 turnover game by Brock Purdy, actually there was 4 turnovers by Brock Purdy, and then a fifth interception by Sam Darnold for the 49ers. This is a nice bounce back game for the 49ers. I see them taking care of business, no problem here in the nation's capital.
Yeah, I got San Fran. This is gonna be Brock Purdy coming back into the MVP conversation. He's gonna throw up some big numbers.
I think we'll get to the Ravens here in a little bit, but I think Lamar Jackson right now is the clear cut favorite
Oh
for
yeah,
MVP.
yeah, yeah,
Again, we'll probably do MVP prediction sometime next week and all those awards. Next, we got the Panthers versus the Jaguars. The Jaguars are on a, I think now 4 game losing streak. The Panthers, they played the Packers tough. Part of that is Joe Barry being the Packers defensive coordinator, though. Um, I have a lot of Packer friends, and a bunch of them were texting me after the game going, dude, can we please fire him? And I'm like, no, I enjoy this. This is fun for
yes.
me. So
It's
let's
great
not,
when he's the yeah.
yeah. Like we said earlier in the year, there was a lot of talk about Joe Barry getting fired, and we're like, there's not much wrong with him. And then it hit me. I'm like, when 2 Lions fans were like, no, you can keep him. That's probably when you should fire the guys. When your division rivals are like, no, we like him.
Yeah, unless he's playing the Detroit Lions, then He's the greatest defensive coordinator ever.
But even the defense wasn't that great on that game. It was Matt
It was
LaFleur really had a great offensive game plan,
yeah, it was the
and
offense.
the
Yeah,
Lions' offense isn't designed to play from behind.
yeah. Anyways,
But we're not.
moving
Yeah,
on.
we're not talking about the Packers or Lions right now. We're talking about the Panthers and the Jaguars. This is a sneaky close game, if you ask me. On paper, Jacksonville should have no problem with Carolina. Carolina hasn't really played all that great this year. I'm going to take the Jaguars to win this game, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think it is.
Now you got me thinking because you think it's a close game. Last week it didn't work out. The week before I didn't follow it when I should have and I would have won. So I'm gonna ask myself, what should I do here?
See, here's the
And
difference, though. Here's the difference, though. The last two times I said, part of me wants to take the first game that we're referencing here is the Steelers and who'd they lose to? The
was it
Cardinals.
yes, yeah.
Yeah. I said there's something about this game that I want to pick the Cardinals. I just can't do it. And then the Cardinals ended up winning that game.
Yep.
Last
When I
week,
should have picked them.
I go, everything on this planet is screaming the Eagles to win this game. Something about me, something in me is telling me the Giants will win this game. So I just can't do it though. This one, I'm not saying Carolina's going to win the game. I'm just saying it's closer than people are going to think it's going to be.
Okay. Well in that case I'm gonna go with
That's all I said.
Jacksonville. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm not
Jacksonville's
saying Carolina's
pick.
going to win the game, or
Nope.
I just think it's going to be a lot closer game than people are expecting.
Yes. Yeah.
Next, we have another really good game. The schedule makers knew what they were doing this year for this week.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Why is this game not flexed to Sunday night, you think?
Who's playing Sunday night? Let's look at that.
Right
The
there.
Sunday night game is Green Bay and Minnesota. I think part of that is it's New Year's Eve, and it's like last week with the Patriots game was on Christmas Eve, Sunday
Yeah.
Night Football. I think it was on NFL Network, not even NBC. But I
Right.
think they're just like expecting people not to be really tuning in, to be
Okay.
completely honest with you, because it might be on TV in the background, but a lot of people are going to be at a New Year's Eve party or something like that. And so it might be on TVs in the background, but I don't think they're expecting it to be like a normal Sunday night crowd.
Right. Okay.
I think that's part of it being a holiday.
Because when I was looking
Sunday.
at all these games, I thought this was probably the best game on the
Oh
paper
yeah,
right
this is
now.
by far the best game of the week.
And I saw it was a 1 o'clock game, and I
Yeah,
was okay. I was just curious what you thought
that'd be
too.
my guess. I really don't know that for sure.
Yeah.
And you don't want to flex it to Monday night because the college football playoffs is going on Monday. So then your options are Saturday, which I think the only game on Saturday is Lions game,
Yeah,
which
it
that's
is.
also a really good game.
Mhm.
Or Thursday night, which do you really want to waste a Thursday night, like waste this game on Thursday night? Because Thursday
No.
night football is a joke.
Yeah.
So
Anyways, let's get back on
yeah,
schedule. I'm sorry.
no, it is a good question though. So that's why I think it's just because it's a New Year's Eve, and I don't think they're expecting many people to, or as many people to tune in. We got the Dolphins versus the Ravens. The Dolphins beat the Cowboys at home last week to go into 11-4. The Ravens 12-3. The Ravens took care of business against the 49ers last week. The Ravens are the best team in football right now until proven otherwise, and the Dolphins are that one team. They're kind of like in the same category as the Cowboys. They don't really beat good teams on the road, so I'm going to take the Ravens to win this one.
Yeah, the Ravens have been very impressive. Even Lamar Jackson losing arguably one of the best tight ends in football, and Mark Andrews early in the season, and they keep finding ways to win. Their game plan has been great. Even their defense has been impressive too, causing turnovers last week. But I think the Ravens, like you said, until proven otherwise, are the best team in the league. I'm gonna take the Ravens in this game.
Next, we got the Tennessee Titans versus the Houston Texans. The last time these two teams played, the Texans won because uh, Tennessee was messing around with the football universe and wearing the old Houston Oilers jerseys, which was a complete joke. They should have never done that. They should have retired those things. That's a totally different conversation. Um, Houston, I know they're beat up with a lot of their players, but I just think there's more good mojo going on in Houston than there's in Tennessee. So I'm going to take the Texans to win this game.
Yeah, this was another one of those flip the coins, and just because they're at home, I'm taking Houston.
Next, we have another sneaky good game here. We got the Steelers and the Seahawks. This one's being played in Seattle. Both teams need to win to stay in the playoff race. Both teams are very well coached. Both coaches are arguably, if not, I would say borderline Hall of Famers coaches. I'm going to take the Steelers just because Mike Tomlin doesn't end the season under 500. So I'm going to take them to win this game and have at least a 9-win season. And they'll somehow back their way into the playoffs because that's what the Steelers do, is back their way into the playoffs somehow every year.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Seattle at home. Steelers offense. I mean, granted, last week they went off, but they don't scare me this week. Traveling across country, Pete Carroll is gonna have his team ready to play. Like you said, they're both in the playoff hunt. They both need a lot of help, but I think Seattle's gonna end up winning this game.
Do you know why Pittsburgh offense did so well last week?
I don't remember who they're playing, but
I don't
no,
remember who they played either. It's because it was Christmas Eve and they had Rudolph playing.
of course they did.
So
The
I saw
magic
that
of
one.
Christmas is what you're
Yeah, the
saying.
magic of Christmas, and you got Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer leading your offense.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
It makes a lot more sense. I should have realized that and picked them. Next, we got the Chargers against the Broncos. Again, the Broncos with the news of the day, benching Russell Wilson. It's going to start Jared Stidham. And then the Chargers, obviously, as we talked about last couple weeks, Easton Stick is playing quarterback for them. The Chargers, they fired Brandon Staley, and I think the team's kind of like just lost a lot of juice. I think that game against the Raiders a couple of weeks ago kind of like knocked all the wind out of the sails for this team.
Mm-hmm.
The Broncos are still theoretically in the playoff race. Who knows? Jared Stidham might be the answer here for the Broncos. I just don't think he's a long-term answer, but I think he'll do enough to win this game this week for the Broncos. I think there's just too much to play for, and the Broncos are the better team overall.
Yeah, there's not much I'm going to add to that because this game doesn't really intrigue me that much. Just give me the Broncos.
Next, we got the Bengals versus the Chiefs. The Bengals also another one of those teams with the backup quarterback. They have, let me see, I have it written down here. I should know this because he's been starting for a while now.
Jake Browning.
Jake Browning. So he has done admirably, taking over for Joe Burrow. Kansas City, on the other hand, we've talked about it on and off the last couple episodes. They're that one team that you'd think the team's going to turn the corner at some point. They just haven't yet.
They're going to flip that switch and become the playoff Kansas City Chiefs that been dominant, so dominant.
I don't know though. Like, I
don't see them flipping it on. Honestly, I don't.
I don't see
that offense.
And you wonder.
You watch some of the reaction of Patty Mahomes, and you can tell he's frustrated. He's not going to come out and say it, but
no, well,
there's just that chemistry in the offense is not what it has been.
No,
and what's been carrying the team. Do you think part of that is because Bieniemy's not there anymore? Like he was I don't know how you would say it. He kept the flow.
He was the offense coordinator.
Yeah.
Is it his first year not there, or is this the second? I think this is his second year not there.
I thought it was his first year.
Let me Google that real quick.
Yeah, but I know Andy Reid helps out with the offense too because he's offensive minded.
Well, Andy Reid's been calling the plays for the whole time for the Chiefs ever since he's got there. So I'm checking out.
I mean, there's other things. Yeah.
Yeah. checking out his Wikipedia page right now, which I understand is not the end all
Most
be all.
accurate.
But yeah, this is his first year. 2003 season is his first year in Washington, so maybe there is something to that with Bieniemy. I almost think I know we have a rule on this show about this topic, so I will not be saying names.
I believe what some people have been
They're,
saying is
they're
true.
so that's it's a distraction.
It's a curse.
Well, so okay, if you're tuning in for the first time, we have a no Taylor Swift rule. I'm kind of breaking that right now. Um, I saw a meme today where she's, I guess, a lifelong Eagles fan, and so the joke is that is going on the inside to tear the Chiefs apart to get revenge on the Super Bowl last year. Obviously, that's a complete joke, but
Yeah.
there is something wrong with the Chiefs.
Mhm.
They're still a good football team, don't get me wrong, but this is not the Chiefs that we've been accustomed to seeing the last 4 or 5 years. This is just different.
Yeah.
Maybe it's now part of it I understand is the league is designed for this. The league's not designed for dynasties with the salary cap and all that. So it's kind of the league running its course out at the same time. But I don't know. It's just like they're just not on the same page. Patrick Mahomes can't find a wide receiver. Travis Kelsey just doesn't seem as impactful as years past. But
Right.
if nobody else is, if there are no receivers stepping up, then Travis Kelsey, you can focus your coverage on
Mhm.
him instead
Yeah.
of having to worry about Tyreek Hill, who's now in Miami, for example.
Right.
Um, with all this being said,
Yeah.
I'm not saying this is the week they fix everything, but I'm taking the Chiefs to win this game just because, I mean, they have to win this game. This is a must win for the Chiefs.
Yeah. I'm gonna take the chefs at home. At some point they gotta end up winning. I think they're on a 2-game, 3-game lose streak, whatever it is. But give me Kansas City at home.
And then finally, actually, there's no Monday Night Football this week, so the NFL is not even going to try to compete with the college football playoff. So Sunday Night Football this week is the Packers against the Vikings. Like we said, Jair Alexander, the cornerback for the Green Bay Packers, has been suspended for one game for conduct detrimental to the team. The report is because of a coin toss. Again, I think there's got to be more to the story, but there might not be. The Vikings, they lost to the Lions last week, and they lost a lot more than a football game. TJ Hawkinson towards ACL and MCL. Right. So the hit happened, and then like it felt like 5 minutes later they announced he's out for the game, and after that I'm like, oh, he's done for the year. Like they don't announce anything. They don't announce out for a game that fast if it's nothing
Right.
serious.
Yeah.
I think I texted you that too. I'm like, oh, Hawk's done for the year.
Mhm.
Um, this is a tough one just because the Packers have had moments where they look like a really good football team. And then they also have moments like the second half against Carolina where it's like, who the heck are you?
Right.
And at the same time, the Vikings, in all honesty, should have beat the Lions on Sunday.
Mhm.
But Nick Mullins threw 4 interceptions, and a couple of them were like, what on earth are you seeing on that field? Like, and the Lions safeties and corners were just baiting him at times. Like the
Yes.
game-ending
Yeah.
interception by Iffy, he just said, "Here, I'll stand behind him, and so you can't see me." And then he jumped
Right.
in front of him.
Exactly.
So I really don't know who to pick for this game. Um,
You want me to
I'm
pick
gonna.
first? You want me to pick first?
Yeah, you can
Give you
pick
some
first for once.
give you some time to think about it.
Yeah.
I'm actually gonna take the Packers in this game. Um, Kinda like we were saying, they've been looking really good, really great, but also what you're saying is Nick Mullins is on the other side, and, if Nick Mullins wasn't playing last week, Kirk Cousins won. Obviously, Minnesota would've won that game. I think we can both agree on that against the Lions. Um, as of right now, I believe Mullins is still starting, but
So
I'm gonna take
I'm
Green
looking
Bay
that
in
up
this.
right now. At practice today, Nick Mullins and Jaron Hall, who's the rookie quarterback from, was it BYU?
Sure.
Let's see. Yeah, BYU. He's a rookie quarterback from BYU. They're taking splits at the top or first unit. So either way, though, the quarterback room in Minnesota, uh, you know, well, I'll talk about that after I make the game pick. Um, I'm also going to take the Packers on this one. Again, I just don't trust the offense for. Oops, I hit the wrong button there.
That's all right.
I don't trust the offense for the Vikings. I think it's and it doesn't matter who's playing quarterback. Josh Dobbs, he came back to earth a little bit, and then Nick Mullins, obviously, like we said, threw 4 costly interceptions last week against the Lions, and he did the same thing the week before too, threw like 2 or 3 stupid interceptions. So I'm going to take the Packers to win this game, and for all intents and purposes, ending the Vikings season. The one thing I wanted to bring up though was, and it'll never happen. I understand that, but so the most valuable player. If you ask me, here's what the definition of most valuable player is. If you take this player off the team, what happens to the team? That's that's not how they vote for MVP. I understand that, but that's what the word valuable player means to me. And if you want to go by that definition, Kirk Cousins is your MVP.
I could
Because
see. Yeah.
because the Vikings were honestly, I mean, we sat here and talked about it. Oh crap, the Vikings are going to win this division, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
That there was a lot of fear in Lions fans, and we talked about it on this podcast that the Vikings scare us.
Yes. I remember back in one of our playoff previews, that was the one team that we did not want to see in the playoffs
No,
when Kirk Cousins was in, Hawkinson was in, and I think Jefferson just came back or whatever. But those
I mean
three
it
guys
wasn't
were.
the one team I wanted to see in the playoffs. It was the one team that oh crap, they're going to keep us out of the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah. That too.
That's what I was more worried about. So, and this conversation happened in sports. Oh, it's been a minute now. I'm not even gonna guess how long ago it was, but Steve Nash, the old point guard in the NBA,
Yeah.
there was a season where he got hurt in the season. I don't remember if he got hurt in the middle of the season, the beginning of the season, whatever. But he got hurt and he missed a lot of time. And I think he was with the Suns when this happened. Don't quote me on that. But
I think you're right.
everyone's like Steve Nash should be the MVP. Look at how bad the Suns are without him.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's kind of how I feel with Kirk Cousins. Like Kirk Cousins, to me, if I had a vote, I would honestly consider giving it to him. But what the MVP has become in every sport is a stat-based award, and that's not what an MVP award is. But I digress. We'll talk more about that next week with the MVP, Coach of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year, which I have some controversial takes on that, by the way, too. So there's your teaser on that. DeMar Hamlin does not deserve it. I know, a little controversial there, but he doesn't. But we'll talk more about that next week. Today, though, we wanna. I completely forgot about this. To be completely honest with you, the college. Not that I forgot that Michigan's playing, because let's face it, Michigan's playing.
Right.
We have a comment here from a while ago from one of our friends who is a Ohio State fan that is trolling us in the comment section here. We're not going to give you your 2 minutes of fame here. Sorry.
You know what the best part is? And it happens every single time. They think they're so clever. They always miss an M, and it's hilarious.
What's funny is he's got an M in his name and he still has that.
That's
And
what I'm
he never
saying. He
thinks.
missed an M.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So you can troll us all you want. We'll just ignore you. Anyways, so I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm not. My dad loves watching all the bowl games, and maybe it's not just because I'm not at his house much anymore. But I just feel like this bowl season hasn't been as exciting as years past. It just feels like nobody's talking about bowl games, and maybe I'm not in the right loops. I don't know, but I just feel like I'm not talking about the playoffs. I'm talking about like your all these not cotton, but like Dollar General first bowl or whatever. Like
Yeah.
all these weird bowls that nobody cares about. I just feel like they're so watered down that it's kind of like ruined college football this time of year, kind of.
Well, part of the problem is you got teams that are under 500 that are getting the invites to the bowl games.
Yeah,
And since they've expanded to the 4 team, going to the was it 12 team or whatever it is now. Um those bowl games aren't gonna you're not gonna hear about them anymore, even
no,
more this year because it's gonna be about the playoffs,
and hopefully they start the playoffs like closer after the uh, last games of the season
the
because it's
championship.
been yeah
Well, the championship weekend won't matter anymore, but
no, but I mean, when was the Michigan Iowa game?
like
That
a month
was
a month
that,
ago,
yeah,
not
almost a
really.
month ago. I think because the Ohio State game was Thanksgiving weekend, and it would have been the weekend after that. So
Yeah,
Michigan hasn't played a football game since the week after Thanksgiving, and they're finally playing on January 1st for really the only bowl games that matter.
right. I think
Uh,
someone said there's 20 practice days in between their last game and their next game for
yeah,
Michigan. I think one of the local guys said that.
which is absolutely insane if you
Yeah,
ask me.
yeah,
Uh, I mean, it's the time to do like you want to get the games in as fast as you can while people are still excited about the Michigan Ohio State game or the Big Ten or the Pac-12 championship game or while the Florida State thing is still going on.
yeah.
But also speaking of Florida State, did you hear that their backup quarterback entered the transfer portal? So the
You
guy that so he's not even playing in the bowl game now. So the line for Georgia is now like minus 17 or something like that, or minus 14.
I believe it.
Yeah. Uh, so that's just watered down that game, even though because like all the whole time that game was Florida State going to prove to the world that they belonged here, and now their quarterback's like, nah, I'm good.
Right.
I'm gonna go somewhere else.
Yeah.
But like that's we'll talk about the transfer portal some other time. But the way that this is all set up right now is absolutely stupid.
Mhm.
Uh, like Texas's backup quarterback Murphy entered the transfer portal, but if he wanted to go play somewhere else, because Quinn Ewers most likely is coming back, Archie Manning's there. So if he wanted to go play somewhere else, this was his time to go. But now he can't play in the playoffs or be available in the playoffs because he's in the portal. You got to change the schedule somehow.
Right.
Anyways, we'll move on from that. We can go on for a long time on this
Yeah.
topic. We're already at an hour here today. Sorry about that, guys. But the first game we'll talk about is Michigan and Alabama. We'll try to keep this quick. Like I said, I didn't realize we're already at an hour. It doesn't feel like that.
Mm-mm.
It feels like 10 minutes we've been talking.
Yeah.
But anyways, Michigan, Alabama. We talked about this game a little bit. The experience of Nick Saban and company in these big games is a big concern for Michigan. And the sour taste of our mouths from last year with TCU, that game was just embarrassing.
Yes.
Uh, does Michigan get over the hurdle this year? I just think, especially with the Zinter injury, I think if he was healthy and playing, I would feel more in the rest of the offensive line. I'd feel a lot more confident in Michigan. But I think in my big bowl mania pick 'em, I think I picked them because I'm a homer and I always pick Michigan. But we're not showing that when we're picking for real. I think Alabama's going to win this game, and as much as I hate saying that,
Yeah. I'm with you on that. I think the big loss was Zach Center. Obviously, Michigan still ended up winning the game after his injury, but this offensive line hasn't been the same offensive line the last couple uh well, the whole season. It's been kind of weird
yeah,
compared to the earlier 2 seasons. But I think Alabama, their defensive line, plus you're giving Nick Saban dang near a month to prepare for Michigan. He's he's the best coach in college football history, I would say. I don't
yeah,
think anyone comes close to him. You give him this much time to prepare. His defensive line is probably going to be better than our offensive line, without, without a doubt. Um, they got athleticism everywhere in the field. Obviously, first round picks everywhere on the field. as much as it kills me to say it, I have Bama beating Michigan in this game, even though I believe Michigan is still a 2-point favorite.
There's one thing that we didn't mention that I just remembered. I don't remember the guy's name or the position he coached. You might know more about this than I do, but there was a Michigan defensive coach
Yeah,
that got hired by Alabama, and he is now actually going to be coaching for Alabama
yeah,
in this game, which should be illegal. That seems a lot more. Uh, you can get a lot more information than a grainy cell phone video with that.
right.
I'll leave my comments there.
Yep.
But it just feels like that's a lot worse than grainy. And I'm not saying recording should be allowed either. I'm just saying this feels a lot more vulgar. Not even vulgar, just a lot more. You can get a lot more information this way, I feel.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and it's not illegal though. So I'm not saying Nick Saban did anything wrong. I'm just saying that
Oh
should be
no.
illegal, or at
Yeah,
least saying, hey, you can hire a coach, but you can't, especially if you're playing a bowl game against them, you can't have them on your staff until after the
right,
game.
right.
Like, I don't care if you hire a coach or not, but you shouldn't be able to have them on your staff until after the game.
After the season's over with, yeah,
Yeah. And then the other uh, playoff game is Washington and Texas. This one is a really exciting matchup. Washington with Michael Penix and Texas with Quinn Ewers and Archie Manning, who's Archie Manning, by the way, is making more money being the third string quarterback for Texas through the NIL than Brock Purdy is being the starting quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers. Welcome to the new world of college football.
yep,
So anyways, I honestly haven't followed Pac-12 or Big 12 much this year. I've mainly watched Big 10 football, so I don't really have a whole lot of opinion on this one. Um, but I will say, in what I've seen from these teams, I like Texas a little bit more. So I'm going to take Texas to win this one.
yeah. I've actually watched a lot of both of these teams. You know me, I'm a college football
Yeah.
holic. I watch it from noon to after midnight. Yes, I stay up for the late night West Coast games. Um, this is probably going to be honestly the better game. I think
Yeah.
this is going to be the closer game of the two. And it seems like the last couple years, there's always been one game that's closer than the other game.
Yep.
I think Bama's going to double digit Michigan. I think this game is going to be last possession wins the game. Whoever has the ball last. I think both teams are great. I feel like Texas has the better defense. But I like watching Washington's offense run and pass. The question is, will Penix have enough time to read the field and make the throws, especially to his two top wide receivers? I think it's gonna be a close game. I'm actually gonna take Washington in this game, going against Bama in the championship game, and I'm gonna stick with Nick Saban throughout all this experience, everything. I'm gonna take Bama to be your national champions this year.
I'm not going to. I mean, I think if Bama beats Michigan, they'll win the national championship. We'll do a bigger preview for that game, though. I only know those two teams. Obviously, we're both hoping we're wrong about Michigan and Alabama, but it just feels like Alabama's going to win that game. Uh, so this was a lot longer than I think both of us were planning on today. I
Eh,
honestly thought we'd be able to get out in and out here in a half hour, but clearly that's not what happened. So I'm sorry that this one ran a bit long. Thank you guys so much for checking this out. The Facebook response has been incredible on this episode. Has been our
yes,
most liked video to
most
date on
views.
Facebook, most views. We
Yes,
can see on the top here that there's been a lot of people coming in and out. So we greatly appreciate you guys.
thank you so much.
Um, yes, thank you so much. Be sure to check out the podcast version of it if you missed any of it. We'll have that out on Spotify at some point tomorrow. And another thing that I'm trying is to basically like edit the videos a little bit and clip them. So like if you are interested in more of the college football side of it, then I'll have a video just for the college football. If you're interested in the NFL picks, I'll have that. If you're interested in just the smaller stories will have those clipped too. So I'm instead of having one big episode clipped on YouTube, which the episodes will still be on YouTube too, but you can watch just segments of it. So I'm hoping that'll also help with this grow too. But thank you guys so much for all the love and support. We greatly appreciate it. This, I believe, unless there's something crazy happens in the world of sports, which has happened before, this will be our last episode of the year 2023. So from Alex and I, we hope you guys have a safe and fun New Year's. Enjoy it with your friends and family. And hopefully 2024 is awesome for you guys. And hopefully this takes off huge in 2024.
Mhm.
That's the goal. So thank you guys so much. And we will talk to you guys sometime next week.